Inspire growing minds with a book.
Joey finds his jump by Once Upon a Dance. This is part of the Dance It Out series. After each page, pause the video and follow the directions to act out the story. Once upon a dance, Joey Kangaroo was the only kangaroo at the Funville Zoo. He was a kind creature, and he quickly became friends with every animal he met. He especially enjoyed when children visited. But there was one thing that made Joey sad. The zoo staff and visitors thought perhaps Joey didn't like being locked up, or that he was lonely. But the truth was, the kangaroo was terribly upset that he didn't know how to jump. He remembered his friends springing and bouncing along, but he couldn't quite recall how it was done. Sometimes Joey would try to jump. He'd try to jump with his head, and sometimes with his arms. Joey would push one foot off the ground at a time, as if a single foot was jumping, and then try the other foot. Sometimes he would try to jump on his back, sometimes with his knees. And one time, he even tried to jump with his tongue. But Joey never got off the ground. Joey decided he would venture out into the wide world and hope to meet his jump. The kangaroo waited until all the other animals had stretched their stretches and gone to sleep. Joey started out marching a happy march as he hurried along, hoping to find his jump soon. After a while, his march lost its spring and his steps slowed down. He was getting tired. Suddenly, Joey heard music. He followed the sound to a nearby building. The windows were high, so Joey stretched up his neck, up, to get a glimpse of what was happening inside. Joey couldn't believe his kangaroo eyes. Inside, there were dancers dancing, and they were jumping. They jumped with both of their feet together. They jumped with their feet moving apart and back together. The dancers jumped on one foot and then the other. Joey was amazed at how they could have so much power in just one leg. The dancers skipped around the stage. Joey's wide eyes darted back and forth, following the dancers' graceful hops. Then the dancers started making gigantic leaps all around and back and forth across the stage. Joey was mesmerized. Suddenly, the little kangaroo felt something inside. It was kind of like a sneeze that is on its way up to your nose, except this was like a jump sneeze, or maybe a jump hiccup. Much to Joey's surprise, his feet and his knees and his body all tried to jump at the same time. And Joey went over so slightly into the air. Then, like another little hiccup, Joey jumped again and again. And each time the kangaroo jumped, he went a bit higher. Now, Joey was jumping pretty big jumps. Then, Joey did the biggest jump of all. It felt like he was going to jump to the moon. He jumped so high. Well, Joey just kept on jumping, and he jumped all the way to a park across the street. The only time he stopped jumping was to cross the road. He looked ever so carefully to one side, then the other, then the other, then the other, before he cautiously stepped off the curb. Over in the park, Joey saw a frog. She was jumping on lily pads, and she started each jump with her arms and legs touching the ground. It looked like she was jumping an even bigger jump than Joey's when her entire body lifted and expanded into the air. Joey could faintly hear her singing a jumping song herself. Oh, like to jump and jump and jump, and I like to go up high. I like myself and I like my jumps as I fly into the sky. The frog intrigued Joey. So he introduced himself. He told the frog he'd just learned to jump and that her jumping skills impressed him. The frog said her name was Juniper and that she'd be happy to have a jumping pal. As Joey jumped alongside her, he realized that all of his sadness had faded away. He had found his jump, and now he jumped for joy. Together, Juniper and Joey jumped back to the Funville Zoo, where they danced happily ever after. The end. The end. Thanks for listening. And remember, this is by Once Upon a Dance, and it's part of the Dance It Out series.